Hello everybody, I'm Gwen Campbell-Mindes. Welcome to Gwen's Bookish Ramblings, and before I go on to the last book of the Empire trilogy, I need to celebrate the 101, but 100 subscriber milestone. So here we are. I have, after nearly 3 years, managed to get 100 people who seem to feel that my channel is, at the very least, worth endorsing in terms of subscribing. I don't know how many of you are actually watching these videos, but, you're subscribing. So, I need to thank, since the 50 subscriber milestone, I need to thank Jacob Greengrass, or Greengra, there was only supposed to be one S there, Maxime Lepearl, Heather Huffman, Uncle Wheeze, Zana Clavins, Moonlight Perfection, Bonnie McCarthy, Donna Allen, Samantha Bullock, Mark Jensen, Mr. Overgriff, Glenna Johnson, Lit Up, Mr. Captain A, and Katie Ogent, or Ogent, and 36 other people who wish to remain anonymous because, well, clearly don't have their names listed as subscribers, but there are 36 other people. If you're curious and backtrack through all of my videos, you will eventually find the other milestone videos in which I listed off the people who had names. Anyways, thank you very sincerely for showing up and for subscribing to my channel, whether or not you watch it, because when you subscribe, that means that at least you somewhat think that some part of this channel must be worthwhile. So, now that we've done that, and trust me, I am sincerely grateful, let's move on to the book. Last book in the Empire trilogy is Mistress of the Empire, and this book continues one of the most powerful or important themes of this trilogy of books, and that is, you do realize that if you left them all alone, none of this would have happened. In the first book, if they hadn't murdered Mara's brother and father, she would have joined up with the Temple of Lashima. She would have become a priestess of Lashima, and none of those things that happened would have happened. Bunto Kapi wouldn't have had to kill himself. She wouldn't have had to arrange for the Lord of the Minwanabi to kill himself. Like, all of this stuff, none of it would have happened. This was the fault of people backing her into a corner and forcing her to get creative in order to survive. In the second book, it happened again. Well, it happens in this book yet again. This book opens with everybody happy. Everything is awesome. Mara is doing great. She has 2 sons that are great. She has married Hokanu of the Shinzawai, who, okay, so he's not Kevin, who she, fell in love with in the last book, but they really, really get each other, and he is absolutely, absolutely devoted to her, and everything is great, and then assassins come out of the woodwork and murder her eldest son, Ayaki. And everything is horrible, and it throws Mara into an absolute tailspin. She winds up doing a bunch of things that are ill-considered and foolish moves, politically speaking, especially in Tsurannuani, because she's a grieving mother, and people who are seriously grieving, parents who are grieving their children in this particular case, don't always act in the most rational way, and she does some things that are completely understandable, but are highly problematic. And at that point, the magicians, the so-called great ones, the black robes, show up, and they basically tell her and Jiro of the Anasati, because the assassins basically framed Jiro of the Anasati. Not that that really bothered Jiro, because he wanted an excuse to go after Mara, which he couldn't do as long as his nephew Ayaki was still alive. But Jiro of the Anasati is perfectly happy, and so is she, to basically go at each other, and then they've literally drawn up battle lines. They are literally about to have a war. like a literal war. And the Black Robes show up and basically inform them, well, guys, we're not going to let you have your war. And Mara, at that point, winds up deciding that she needs to figure out how to deal with them because they have dishonored her family and forced her into giving up on this vengeance that she was set on having. And so the thing is that at first she's just, upset with them. But as the book unfolds, it becomes clearer and clearer that people are maneuvering her and maneuvering the emperor of Tsurannuani into a position that will force them to not be able to continue their various reforms. And those are reforms like ensuring, the rule of law, of ensuring that the various lords of Tsurannuani don't go around murdering people out of hand just because it's a good move politically. Because one of the important central facets of Tsurani culture boils down to you're only in trouble if you get caught. That is, they place great store on honor, but it's an entirely surface level honor. It is an honor that is entirely in how other people see you, not in terms of your own internal moral and ethical code. Their collective cultural, moral, and ethical code is, as long as nobody catches you cheating, it's still honorable for you to cheat. And, she doesn't want to deal with that, and she's particularly upset because this code is what allowed Tasayo of the Minwanabi to arrange for the murder of her father and brother by basically sending them out into a battle against the Midkemian forces and then not backing them up so that they all got overrun by the Midkemians, and then showing up late and going, oh, well, oops, I was late. And even though everybody knows that that's just a lie and he arranged for them to be killed, well, he's still totally honorable because, well, nobody can prove he did it. And it's all like that. We don't actually catch him violently abusing and murdering people, so clearly it's all fine. And that's something that Mara and the Emperor Akindar are trying to stop. Well, over the course of this book, Mara gets consistently blocked and stymied and then discovers, basically for certain, that the magicians, the Black Robes, have been stopping any attempts at cultural evolution. They have effectively insisted on a cultural stagnation that allows them to have control over everything. And so in the end, she is forced to leave Tsurannuani, go outside of there to the lands of the Thurl, and then pass the Thurl to get in contact with the Choja that live outside of Tsurannuani to find a way to get around these people. And the thing is that this builds up out of the fact that they keep on basically that what they have done has forced her into a corner. And indeed, when she comes back, Ikindar has been assassinated, and her son Justin is literally in danger of being killed because, of course, because she had left him sort of staying in the royal palace with the royal family, with the Imperial family, and she is forced to make her son into the next Emperor of Tsurannuani because otherwise her son will be killed. Like, literally this situation where she winds up claiming the throne and becoming the regent and thus mistress of the empire, there's the title. The only reason this winds up happening is because the opposition is going to murder her son if she doesn't, do something about it. And it's one more thing where they've just backed her into a corner. She winds up putting him on the throne. She winds up pushing a face down with the magicians and all of this stuff because she doesn't have any other choice for the survival of her family. And it's this remarkable, it's this remarkable, sort of final showdown in this book. And it's a wonderful showdown, but it's all the more remarkable for once again being this situation of, if you hadn't done this, she wouldn't have turned the entirety of their culture upside down, which she does. And now, having said that, it's not that this is a bad book, but this really isn't my favorite. I do like the second book better because I really, really enjoy the back and forth that she has with Kevin. This whole discussion, this clashing of cultures. And I will reiterate once again that Hokano's brother Kazumi, I am really, really sorry that I didn't get to read a book set, to read the Midkemian books, to effectively have a story about somebody from the Kellowan side of things having to learn and adapt to the Midkemian culture. I was really, really hoping to get that, and when I didn't get it, I was just so disappointed. Now, again, they're not the series from the Rift War saga is not a bad series. It just wasn't to my taste, and what can you do? I'll be honest, my favorite part of this book really is the epilogue, because in the epilogue we get Kevin back and there's a reunion, and it's right that it ends where it does, but at the same time I will also always be just a little bit disappointed that we didn't get, Mara getting to visit Midkemia and some more of the reunion and Kevin getting to know his son and maybe some back and forth between Justin and Kevin as they sort of are the same but kind of super different. The sort of thing that fan fiction is for, because it would really be a terrible idea to write that into this. It would have been a terrible idea, narratively speaking, to write that into this book. There's always questions that are left unanswered that are maybe a terrible idea, narratively speaking, to add into a book. Anyhow, so this particular cover is very much, basically, this is the climax of the book. This is the last scene of the book. Which, I mean, given that this book is titled Mistress of the Empire, it's almost not really giving anything away, because based on how the previous two books have ended, it was kind of obvious and inevitable when you think about it that she was going to have to become, like, the regent or something. But it's a fitting ending for the series. And also, nearly all of the important characters from the previous books that we all really, really loved died. There's like 2 characters from the previous books that we really, really loved who didn't die, other than Mara and her son. But it's sort of that whole worthy death thing. It's very, very well done, but still not my favorite of the trilogy. So, once again, thanks to all of my subscribers, and And that's everything, and I'll see you all next week.